Okay, so hi guys, happy Sunday. I will continue with the class that we left over yesterday. So let me share my screen. Don't see. Okay, so again, I think is everyone in here. Well, not everyone is in here, but if you're not in here, you can watch the recording. Or if you know that your friends are busy or something, they can watch the recording. Because I think there is only 7 people right now in the call. So okay, let's start. So I was opening because this is my PC computer, so I just opened a new one. But you need to go to the Epic Games Launcher and start again. In your library, you already have one Unreal file. I just call this one new, and I just open it. And in this Unreal file right now, I'm going to start talking about what is the type of objects that we have in here. Yesterday, I was showcasing to you that when we hit play, we have two types of objects. The objects that are actually the ones that reacts with gravity, that are these ones, the blue ones, and we have static meshes. So what happens if you actually want to change it? Imagine that, let's try to move it in here. Let's imagine that maybe this one, we want to change it to movable object. Here in mobility, we can change it to movable object in here, movable. And then let me just put it in here. And can you see now that, let me see if it is reacting. Oh, I didn't activate the physics. I need to simulate the physics in here, and I will change the physics number to what I have in here. The mass is 35. Oh, 1 second. The mass is 35, so I am activating this. The linear damping is 0.1, so I'm activating this. And the angular damping is 1. So now let's try again. And now, as you can see, our object is movable in the entire screen. It's another one, it's not the same one as the cubes. And we can create with this any object that can become movable in the scene. And we have like that the type of objects. Just keep in mind that movable objects are more computationally expensive than static objects because of the light. Because right now I didn't put any materials, but if I just create a material that I don't have in here because I don't put materials, let's create a quickly material. Material base. It opens in the other screen, is in here. One quick way to create a material if you don't want to actually start doing 1 and click, 3 and click, is just right click in base color and promote to parameter, and it is going to create a parameter for all of these. If you're in a rush when creating a material. So I'm just creating a very quick material. Okay, I will change it to white. And it is loading. I hit save and close it. And then I'm going to instance it. And this one I will change the color. And then I will put the material as reflective material. Why as a reflective material? I want to explain to you about reflections. I will put it like a chrome type of mirror material. So let's see. You see now that when my material is at metallic and I am moving it around, it starts becoming blurry. As you can see, I don't know if you can see that I can only see one leg of my avatar, not all the, even if it's 100% material metallic. So I can actually put it in here so we can see the scene. This is more like acting as a mirror. Actually, because it is so heavy to compute this, that is why you don't see mirrors a lot in video games. And if you see a mirror, it is actually not a mirror itself, it's more like a camera put in that position to replicate the avatar movement. So now that we have it like this, I can start explaining also the speed. Wait.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you show us? I missed that part where we change the gravity of the object so that it can move. Like,
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, sorry for the
sorry.
background noise. There is a lot of noise in here. Yeah, in here, when I change the object, you need to change to movable. And in the same details, you need to go to materials. You need to go here, materials, and then we have physics. In
Yes.
physics, yeah, you need to simulate physics. You need to activate all of these,
Okay.
and you need to check the mass. So the mass is working. And because I know that in at least in this scene, because it's the basic scene, it is working. This one is already here. So what I was doing was copying the same inputs that it has. It has 35, so I was
Okay.
copying 35.1 and 1.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but you can actually change these if you want to change the mass, kilograms, or everything in here.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so what I was saying before was that if we talk about reflections, then we're going to see that this looks like a mirror, but it's not a sharp one. We can even change maybe a little let me put it in here so you can see my screen. I'm going to change, I think it's the roughness, no, not the roughness, the specular. If we change the specular at least to 1, it will sharp or not sharp a little, there, a little. So let me save and let me hit. So now let me go with my avatar and you will see that the avatar is actually, if I am close, it is actually having like a reflection, a proper one. But if I am not, if I am like looking it as it's a facade, the avatar doesn't have a reflection. And this is very bad when you are trying to have metal materials. So keep that in mind. But also is because we didn't have any, I mean, this is only one material. But what happened in Unreal is that we actually need to use something called a lighting prompt. So we need to have a screen space reflection. So we need to search in here, the sphere reflection capture. We need to place it and it will help a little Unreal a little more to understand the reflection. It has a radius, so it is the reflection capture. Actually, when it needs a better reflection, we copy it a bunch of times. Because now with this on, it will work better, the reflections in the project, or at least a little better in performance. Yeah, you can see now that my avatar is appearing. That was only appearing before like this, now it's also appearing like this, and then it is blurry. But now also it is appearing like that. You know what is happening is that, I don't know if you can see, well, I cannot pass it, but in the Zoom I can annotate. Oh, can I have my annotation tool here? So what is happening, and probably you're seeing the same in your screens, is that Unreal is reflecting this area, and every time I turn my camera, everything else becomes blurry. As you can see, I have like this area that is well reflected, and everything else is blurry. This is because actually it is happening, like how Unreal is computing the reflection is not, I mean, it's the most optimized way, but it's not like the most realistic way possible. It tries how it can be done. So we can have like 3 types of reflections. The reflection captures that it pre-calculate the reflection and then projected it back. And it's kind of when you take a snapshot of a reflection at some point and then just project back on the geometry. And this is the cheapest one in terms of performance, but not in terms of geometry and memory. Then we have the screen space reflections, that is the one that you are seeing right now on screen. As the name says, it relies on the objects we can see on the screen, but then when we move our camera around as it is happening, it starts getting blurred because it removed from the reflection. It looks the most close one and it's not as heavy if in some case you need to have a reflection. And I am showcasing these reflection things because probably you will have metal materials and metal materials have reflections. So keep this in mind because sometimes when you're using a metal material, it's not as good the reflection and that actually break the whole idea of what you're trying to make because it's not as realistic as possible. Then we also have ray tracing reflections. That is the third way of doing reflections. Right now, we're not going to do that because the ray tracing is a similar way when you use V-Ray or when you use other type of rendering softwares. And the ray tracing, what it does is that it has like a ray of light that is actually bouncing around. And then because of that rate of light, we have the most realistically possible light. And well, we will ignore it for now because ray tracing will take a lot in your GPU. And yeah, also I need to know more or less. You need to type here this command, tx, I will send it to chat. What is the chat? To know what graphic cards and the RAM memory that you have. So it will appear like this. I don't know if you can run it so you can actually see. I think I have it here, like the memory and the RAM and the graphics card. I think it also appears in here, the graphics card. You see the input. Yeah, here in display we have the graphics card. If you have a 2060 app, an RTX NVIDIA, then you're okay. Unreal it will run fine. But if you have a 3080 or something, it's best because it's like the most updated version. So this is just one thing. So this is in for the reflections. Now we have the movable objects and we have the reflections. And we will also can change the camera speed. As you can see, when I'm moving, for me, the camera speed is okay, but some people want the camera speed to be fast. So when you move, actually, it goes like this. For me, it's too much. Or if you want it to be slow because you're having a detail or something and you can change it. So camera speed is the other command that we have here. I will leave it mine. I think it was at 4. For me, in 4 is okay. And okay, so this was about reflections and about the speed of the camera. So now I will talk to you about the types of mesh. We know already that we have the primitive meshes in here. Oh, let me close this. We have the cube, the sphere, the cylinder, the cone, everything in here. But we also have two types of meshes in Unreal. We have these type of meshes that are, I mean, the normal ones. Everything is working like this. That are the static meshes. And we have skeletal meshes that are actually our avatar that we will probably have in here. This one is actually using a skeletal mesh. I will double click so I can showcase it to you. This is the mesh. And as you can see here, it has a skeletal mesh. It's a different type of mesh. I just open it so you can see it. But this is a skeletal mesh. What does it mean is that it actually has all of these lines that we are not seeing right now. Let me try to put it in, no, in the wireframe. In here, it's not appearing because all of this is movable. So we can actually start moving stuff. As you can see, I'm moving my avatar is making exercise. But that's actually how this mesh can actually be moved because it has all of these rings that are not appearing right now. I think it's, oh yeah, here. Wait, the ring is not appearing. Let me see, 1 second. Yeah, can you see the line that is appearing in here? There it is, the node. Then you can have the node and actually start moving. That's how the avatar moves. So we have all the wires in here. And yeah, this is the second type of meshes. So let's close it because it was just for showcasing that. So now uh, every object will have a static mesh. Every time that you import something inside Unreal, it will have the static mesh, the materials, and the transform, that is this bar. And everything else, such as physics, such as collision, lighting, rendering, everything else in here will change depending material to material. There are some things when you import that have more details than others, just for you to know. Yeah, one other thing that you need to see is in here, you need to show FPX. FPS is frame per second. So when you are creating for a video game or when you're creating something, depends on two things when you are developing a project. If you're doing a project for a rendering, then you don't need to worry about FPS. But if you're making a project that actually needs to be like someone needs to enter as an avatar, such as a video game or a collaborative platform or something similar to this, you need to take into account the frames per second. Because if not, what you're seeing in your screen is very smooth, but then when the other person tries to enters, it's not going to be as smooth because maybe you have a lot of geometry and the frames per second are going to be like moving very slow, like it is a video game, but very, very, very slow. So there are two types. So if you're developing for desktop, it needs to be 30 frames per second minimum. It's better if you have more frames per second, so 30 is the minimum. And if you're developing for VR, because it needs to be smooth, it needs to be 90 frames per second minimum. So these are the two things. Right now, as you can see, because it is still moving, from my computer right now is more than 100 frames per second. So it's okay, it's going to move smooth. But if I have a lot of geometry, this will drop down. And if you actually import something and it is not optimized, it will drop down so bad that it can be 10 frames per second. And then when you run, it's going to be very, very slow. Right now it's very, I mean, it's very good because it's the template. We have very basic things. So this is about the frames per second. And for showcasing why this actually is one thing, I'm going to explain to you about like the amount of polygons is not the only thing that we have or we need to take care when we are creating in Unreal. I will showcase that to you in Rhino. Give me one moment to enter to Rhino. There. So we have here in Rhino, I will showcase it to you. I will create just a box. I will create it a mesh because it was not a mesh. And I will just erase my extrusion. So in Rhino, if I have this box, can you see? Okay, can you see my box in shaded mode, in render mode? Let me shade the display or nobody is going to see it. Okay, so can you see my screen now that I am in shaded mode? I hope that you can see it. But even in Rhino, let's copy this. I mean, if I copy this cube a lot of times, what it is going to start happening is that Rhino is going to start going very, very slow because I have the same amount of geometry a lot of times. And this is because of the draw calls. The draw calls actually, an easy way to explain it, is that your graphics card is asking for CPU, your CPU for an object. In order to draw this cube in the scene, the graphics card needs to ask the CPU, what is this object? What are the vertices? What is the material? And what is the location of the screen? If I have 10 cubes on the screen, it is going to be asking for 10 objects and but the materials, and each one will have materials, the vertices, the faces, and everything. So you have more than 20 draw calls. And that is essentially what happens. It's not the same when you have one very big object. So let me put it like this. As you can see, I have an object and it's starting to go very slow. I don't know why it's going so slow because it's just a box, but it is going so slow. And the thing in this is that actually what happened is that because of my box is only one object, imagine that you create a piece and it's a discrete piece, but it's the same piece, but you have 200 of this piece, too many. And I will showcase to you in a moment when I copy enough cubes so my computer started to suffer. As you can see, I have already still two. Okay. So now I have a lot of cubes. And as you can see, my screen is going slow. Even I can put it more cubes. This is like the most basic geometry just to showcase how the Drocos work. Because the Drocos are working in every software that we know. So actually I have a lot of cubes and my computer is going slow because I have too many. And still it's not going as slow as it needs to be because when it's totally slow, I will showcase 1 second. I'm just copying it. It has 13,000 cubes. So now we have more cubes and more cubes. So my computer suffer because I want to showcase to you what happened with the polygons. And it is loading. Yeah, there. I think I have enough cubes or still not enough. Yeah, I don't have still not enough cubes. But the purpose of this, of having this amount, is that because these meshes are individual meshes, what is happening in the computer behind the scenes is that the computer is having a draw call for each of these meshes. So if I actually group my meshes, it is not going to be for the computer as heavy as it is right now. Because right now, as you can see, it is for copying my meshes, it is taking some time. I mean, look at this is taking time. And now for going close is very slow because I have too many. And they are only cubes. So this is the most basic geometry that you can have multiplied by 1,000 times. So imagine now that what I do in here, let me go very far. Okay, imagine now that if I have my cubes, I group them. I group these as only one group. I will group the other half of the cubes in another group. So it is grouping. And right now, as you can see, it's still slow, but it's faster. Because before I was like zooming very, very slow. But now because I have two groups, the computer is only making two draw calls with a lot of faces inside, but only two. It's not making 100. Well, it's not 100. It's not making like 1,000, 100,000. So now you can see that that's actually what I wanted to showcase this to you, even with a cube in Rhino, is that when you have your big mesh, because probably you will have a building or at least one space designed with your pieces, you need to group them smartly. So if you have the same piece and it's repeated and it has a node, then you already have like a group of pieces that you can create a group. So it doesn't enter in Unreal as an only piece and all as individual pieces, because if not, the draw calls in Unreal can be very high. So then when you are trying to add lights and then add materials and then add the people and vegetation and everything else, it just crashed. So this is actually the very basic explanation of why you need to actually group the things before importing them to Unreal. So now, okay, so this is about the draw calls. And I will send you another Zoom link because I think my Zoom is ending in 10 minutes. What we are going to do now is that I'm going to send you well, a model that I already done before, and we are going to import it. It's the first time that you're importing things inside Unreal, and I will explain some of the steps that you need to do for importing things inside Unreal. But I think that probably is better that I send another Zoom link because it's going to close in 10 minutes. So let me just create another link. Until now, do you have any questions?
No, no, no.
No? Okay. Okay, so okay. And so I will send this new link to the Slack and we can take it from that. Let me stop sharing and let me. Okay. So what I'm going to do is to send you a geometry that is MPX geometry. Let me send it. In here I have it. Okay, I'm drawing it in here. Or maybe I can send it to the Slack. Maybe it's better. Okay, I just sent it to the Slack. So now you need to download the geometry. First, what I did is to export my geometry from Rhino as FBX. I can just share my screen. Oops. Let me 1 second. So can you see my screen? Okay, I think it's screen sharing now. So what I did is any geometry that you have, imagine that I want to export these cubes. Any geometry that you have in Rhino, probably you have Rhino as input, and if it is not Rhino, any other software. But if you have Rhino, you just go to File, Export Selected, and you just save it where you want to save, but you can save it as FBX, Grace Motion Builder. Here, FBX. And then you just use, I don't know, I call it cubes geometry. And I am saving. It is meshing because right now it was a whole mesh. And then it's going to export. Also, if you are working in Rhino you can verify the UVs. And probably you already know how to do that, but in case you don't know, as soon as it finishes exporting, I can explain it. Well, it will take a while to export because it's a lot of cubes. Well, while this is exporting, can you download the geometry that I just sent to the Slack? Then we will go to the developers, to your name, to collections. In this, I didn't create my folder that was materials. I am creating my folder and dragging everything inside. And now I will create another folder that is called geometries or geometry. And let me change it, geometry. Now inside this folder, you just drag from your downloads folder and all of these will appear. is the FBX import options for Unreal. And what happened in here is that actually it is asking me what type of mesh is, if it is a mesh, a normal mesh, or a skeletal one. If it is built with Nanite, that is a type of rendering that we have in Unreal, and it is not because my mesh was not. And if it generates a missing collision, this is always true by default. I prefer to put that is false so I can actually generate my collision inside Unreal. Then the transfer, I didn't change it unless you want to change something and import the translation at different point. What we do need to change, and this is like a critical point when you import something in Unreal, is that the majority of the times in Rhino you're working in meters. Unreal works in centimeters. So if we are importing, we need to actually transform by 100. So this is a critical point. Or you can change Rhino to centimeters and then import it to Unreal. That's the other way around. But the majority of the times we never change the Rhino because we have it in meters and everything is set in meters. So you just change here in Unreal 100. Then everything else converts in, and everything else you just don't need to put anything. And one thing is that you can select if you want to create materials with this import or if you don't want to create any materials. Because what Unreal does as default is that everything that you put as a geometry, it creates a new material for each piece that you are importing. So in my case, I actually don't want materials. So I put do not create materials and then import all. And then it doesn't matter with this, the no smoothing thing because it's a Maya geometry. That's why it was having the no smoothing. And then we have this test geometry. And you can see it. I think it's too big probably. And now we have this geometry, and because it's a Maya one, I didn't put the UV mapping, so I will just put a metal. Probably not totally metallic. I will just 0.5. There. So this is my geometry. I export this, that is a very crazy and complex geometry. So I can teach you some things about what happened when we insert something like this inside Unreal. First thing that happened, this geometry doesn't have any collision. So when I come here, and as you can see also, this geometry is having shadows already. So when I come here, because it doesn't have collision, and I was explaining you yesterday, my avatar is inside my geometry, as you can see here, it's inside. And it's actually very funny, but it's not good when you are actually trying to do architecture. We want to have this as a geometry that can be, I mean, if we don't want the avatar to go through my wall. So how we put the collision? We have here the geometry, and what we do is go here, we pick the geometry, then we have in the details, we go to the static mesh, we double click, and in the static mesh we have this, that is the geometry. And as you can see, because it doesn't have the UV mapping correctly, it has these very weird lines as UV mapping. So if you put any other material, it's going to be strangely placed in here because it's not mapped correctly as it needs to be. So in here, what we are going to change is the collision. In collision, in the right side, we have here the material slots and the LOD picker and everything like this. But what we want to see is the customized collision. We need to check it. We need to select that this is a complex collision mesh because as you can see, it has one curve and it's actually I mean, an ellipsoidal type of geometry. So because it's a geometry that is a complex one, we need to go to here and to search for our geometry. I call it test 4, so it needs to be like test. Test geo 4 is there, is in here. Other thing that we also need to do is to say that it's a double side geometry. What happens when you don't say that it's a double side geometry? What is going to happen is that actually the geometry is going to look that it has the material well placed in one side, but then it doesn't have the material in the other side, like it doesn't have the lighting correctly. So then here are the collision presets, and we need to put the block all is okay. And the collision complexity, we need to use complex collision as simple. And what is happening behind this is that we actually can see here the collision. This is the complex collision. This is the collision for our geometry. This is what Unreal is recognizing for creating this curve, is creating a lot of triangles. And if I put a simple collision, this will be the simple one that has less triangles in this case. I put both. This is the simple one. Sometimes it works well, the simple one, but depending if your geometry is too complex, I prefer to use the complex collision. Then you just hit save, you just close it. And now when I run again with my avatar, now my avatar cannot pass through. And because it can jump, but this is very big, it cannot go to the top. If I scale this, let's imagine that I scale it 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and it's smaller, I think it's okay there. Then now my avatar can enter to this and try to jump to the top. And if I put something in here, my avatar can actually jump. Let me move this ramp so my avatar can go up. Maybe not around, maybe this one. In here. Oh, because it was...
My component is still not colliding. I don't know why.
Oh, can you share your screen? Let me stop sharing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. You have... Oh, yeah, you need to put in here. Oh, wait, put is annotate. Here. The complex collision, the collision complexity. Hit there and use complex collision as default. The last one.
Complex is complex. That's simple.
As
Okay.
simple, yeah.
Oh, okay. Why this like?
Why complex collision as simple?
Yeah.
Because our geometry is a complex geometry. If you have a cube, you can use a simple collision. But the one that I just import, and that's actually why I import
Okay.
this very complex collision, it needs a complex collision. But if we put complex collision as it is, it's going to have a lot of triangles. So we're trying to use the complex collision, but as a simple input. I
Okay.
don't know
Okay.
if that explain it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Can you
Thank you.
try now? I think that
Yeah.
that's the issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So now, as you can see, I was just moving around this piece. So my avatar can actually jump to the top. So now I have this piece that I will use as a, let's call it a stair. And now I'm in the top of the geometry. Because it has the collision, I can be in the top of the geometry and run in here. And it's actually easy to do. It just has the collision. When it doesn't have, as you can see, you can go through it. And now, as you can see, it's very dark. So we will now see about lighting that we didn't see a lot yesterday. We just know that they're in here. But the first thing about lighting, we have this type of lighting, but because it's our template, it's like the common template, it already have a lighting folder. So we will go to this lighting folder and it will have something called directional light. The directional light is the light that we are seeing in here. As you can see, my geometry has this it has this type of shape that actually is an opening, so it is having the light inside. If I am using my directional light, I can actually change in here my rotation. Oh, it's not moving the rotation. Here the rotation is this one, is the last one. I can move my rotation, and as you can see, it will move the time of the day. And I can actually move also in here, but I move it too much. There, I'm moving too much. And you're gonna start moving around your shadows. This is not making anything because my light is in here. Here is my rotation light, my directional light. So we can rotate it in here. If it is too dark, it's going to be like sunset. Just decide when if you're here and if you have this opening, you need to go to see, maybe I want it in here and move it in here like this. I will actually just move it around so I can have this because I want to place other lights. So now I have this type of lighting. I will just change this to the material also. Okay, now this is the first thing. I just put a reflective material in the bottom. And now as you can see, everything is, because of the reflection and because I have my lighting prompts in here, my street reflection captures, the light is going everywhere. And now it's already, without any lighting, without any additional lighting, it has already some lighting. And you can see here that my avatar is mirror everywhere. This is one thing. The other thing is if I don't have that material and I have my normal material, that is this, that is a white one. So if I have this material, it has some light, but it doesn't have a lot. So imagine that I create an instance and I put this material as maybe a dark material, and then it's a specular, no, specular, then it's matter, like roughness there. And we have this material. So because it's more dark, it's going to be everything more dark. And I wanted this because I want to showcase the type of lights. So here we have the type of lights. The first one is the directional one that we already have in here. It's already here. We can add another one if we want. Imagine that I want another one in here. Just take into account that if we have too many directional lights, it can do what it's doing right now in my canvas. It's type of like taking the scene too bright that it is starting to break. It doesn't feel realistic anymore. It's too many light. And also, because of this, we can actually take our directional light, go to the details, and maybe you tell me maybe it's too little sun, I want more. You can change here the temperature also if I want it to be like this. I'm going to the extremes and very, very cold. This is like, and this is the center one. And we can change the intensity. That's the most interesting one. You can go crazy with intensity. The one that it has by default, 3 lux, is working fine now. But if you want, depending on the project, then you want 10, then you want 20. This is 3. We can also change the lighting color that is in here. If I put everything like yellow, everything red, maybe you want type of metaverse project, like light blue, these cyan colors, something like that. I'm not changing the color now, but this is where you can change it. So then this is the directional light. Then I'm going to add a point light so you can see how it looks. This is a point light. As in every other software, a point light has actually a radius, a source radius. It has the soft source radius, and it has here the intensity also. I can put very bright colors. Imagine that I want it to look a little more metaverse-like. And we have here this. But as you can see, this is my light, and it's very big. So I actually want a very small one in here. Here I have my attenuation radius. So I am becoming this small. In here you can actually change it. If you want it more big, maybe we can put it on the center and we only have it on the center. And this is how it looks. Or maybe you want the attenuation radius. The attenuation radius, as you can see, is how the light get blurred in the space. And then we have the soft radius, that is if it's going to be a sharp one or not a sharp one. You can see how it is bouncing the light in the top. And also the soft radius. We can change this, and you can see also how it is changing in the top. It will depend how you want to change the light. Right now I'm just adding the light as it is in here. So this is my first type of light, is a point light. It's very simple to have a point light. The second one is the spotlight, that as its name says, is a spotlight. Imagine that I have here a geometry that actually have light, like it needs a point light. We can have the point light in there. And we can also rotate, well, this rotation, rotate our point light. Imagine that we want to be in here. We can change the angles of the outer corner angle and the inner corner angle. And as you can see here, it becomes more sharp, the light, when I change the inner corner angle. If I don't change it, it is going to be more soft and blend. But sometimes you have something that you actually, if you're doing a museum, or if you're doing a concert hall, a theater, then you need actually to have very sharp angles sometimes when you have something that is in exhibition. But when you don't have that, it's okay to have it like blend. It's also a question of if you like it to have it more soft or more sharp, the angle. So will depend of you. You can see here that the angle is totally sharp, and you can see here that is totally like soft angle. And this is the other type of light. Also, we can change the same intensity. If we have like a very bright intensity, we can change the color. We can put like, imagine that it's a pinky color and it's like this, and it's totally pinky. But we can change this with, I don't know, like, let's put it like very yellow, and let's put it like this, just a little yellow. If it is close, it's going to be like this. So this is the spotlight. Then we have the rectangular light, and I am putting my rectangular light in here. And as you can see, it is only giving the light to the right because that's how the rectangle is made. I can rotate my rectangle. I can rotate like this, so it can be flat, and I can actually change if it is more like a rectangle less than a square, like this. I want, maybe you don't want it like this, maybe you want like 45% or something. So you can start like testing some lights and testing this inside the scene. So you can see that to the right side is going to be a sharp edge between the light and between the other shadow, because this is how the rectangular light works. Is less, it has less attenuation radius. I think we can have attenuation radius for the left, but never for the right, because the right is where the rectangle is starting. So these are the three types of lights that are, not the four types of light that are the more common ones. The other one is the skylight that I think we already have here in the project. Yeah, we have here the skylight. Let me just erase my point lights. Oh wait, I want to stop with that. And let me just erase this one. So with my skylight, what is the skylight? If I hit F, this is the skylight. The skylight, it has here all the details. The skylight has the sky and the lighting color, so we can change here if I want it to be more, I don't know, reddish. And you can see now that is, instead of having it white, the whole geometry, because this is for the whole scene, is starting to get more like sepia color, more like orangish color. If I change it to maybe pink, you can see it more pink. If I change it to blue, oops, it's not moving to blue. It will look more blue. Oops. There, it will look more blue because I am changing the whole skylight. And can you hear me? Because I think it stops the internet. You
Yeah,
can
I
hear
can
me,
hear
right?
you. Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah. So now, as you can see, I just changed my skylight, and now everything is blue inside my scene. It depends. Sometimes, well, when you're doing, depends on the project. In this case, it looks already very gaming inside my Unreal, and if I hit play, it is already very bluish, everything. If I go in here and I see it, everything is blue. And if I go to the other side to actually go up, everything is very blue. It is not super blue, but it's still having like some, even the shadows. Can you see the shadow of my avatar? It's type of purplish blue because of that, because I just changed the entire light for the entire scene. So we have, this is the skylight. The majority of the times I don't change the skylight because I mean, by default it's white. And for me it works white. But it depends. Sometimes when you are doing cinematic and you actually want to have everything looks more warm, you can change the skylight to a little more like yellow or orange. If you want it to be more cold, it can be more like cyan, more like blue. But I prefer not to change it. And that's actually something like a personal thing for not changing the color. But if you want to test it, you can change it. In here, I'm changing it so you can see how it affects in my scene because everything is white. So how it is affecting. And you can also change the indirect lighting intensity. I can put that is 6, so it's actually now very blue. When we see the reflection, everything is very blue. And I can change it again to 1. And for me, 1 is better. It's blue, but it's less blue. And then also you can change the scattering, but it's not going to change too much in here. And also the scale intensity in here is something to be cautious of because you just can see that I just changed it and it becomes like totally crazy. And you can change it if you want to change it. To test at least, change it so you can see how it is becoming a crazy, crazy project. This project is already like very metaversy for the lighting. And then I hit again the 1 and we have the same project. So these are the 5 lights that you can use in the project. You can change more of these details that it has, but it's, at least for me, the most important one is the intensity scale one and the light color. And the light color is the one that you can change if you want to change something in the lighting. So yeah, everything is like that. And this is how we add lights. It's very simple actually. You're not going to troubleshoot things for lights because it's not as difficult as other things. So we have lights, and for the first class of Unreal, I think that that's everything. So now you can add lights and you can start placing things around and moving things. You also have to place materials. You know now how to import an object, how to place materials, how to create and place materials, how to place lights, how to create reflections, and how to move inside your Unreal because you just hit the play and we have in here everything is bluish. So yeah, this is all for the first class. I don't know if you have any questions. No?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Now, in case we are designing, like this is a, when we start Unreal Engine, this third person thing, um, this setup comes, right? But if we have our own setup and we delete this entire thing and then hit play, the human, like where does the uh, human come from, right? Like where does it start its gameplay? How do we finalize that? Like
Oh, you want to
human
know where the avatar is placed every time it enters?
Yeah, like can we control that?
Yeah, it's called player start. We have it in here. Is the F. Every time my avatar is going to appear, it's going to appear in the player start. Imagine that I move this in the top. And can you see that if I move it right now, it says bad size because I am clashing the geometry. So it actually cannot start there. But if it
Okay.
is up, I think until here at least, and I hit play again, my avatar will start from here.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you erase everything, I mean, imagine that I erase everything and I just leave that new geometry. Even if I hit play, the avatar will start there.
Okay.
But the thing is that if I don't have anything, and I fall, it will fall forever because it doesn't have any floor.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the player start. You can move
And
it as everything else, you can move it and you can rotate it and the avatar will rotate with that.
okay.
You have the same, oh, again, the zoom thing. And you have the same things for changing the same transformation settings in here, location, rotation, and scale.
Okay. And you were telling about the skin, right? Like this is a skeleton, right?
The the avatar
Yes,
itself,
yes.
yes, is a skeleton.
If you want to change the avatar from the skeleton to a actual human being, there's a plugin, right? But how do we put it in this
Yeah,
game?
it is called MetaHuman.
Okay.
We need to actually do an entire class probably if you want to use the MetaHuman. It's a MetaHuman plugin. Let me showcase it to you. It's in here. Let me. Oh, what is my library here? Is the MetaHuman plugin here? First, you need the MetaHumans and then the MetaHuman plugin.
Okay.
The MetaHuman plugin, you will create the avatar, and then with the other plugin, you can actually enter your avatar inside Unreal. And
Okay.
then what you need to do is replace the the robot that we have now with the MetaHuman.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but this is the MetaHuman plugin. It's a little more advanced because you will need to start changing nodes and some things in the BP, in the blueprint. For now, you have your robot. And also in the Epic library, you can have and download avatars. I think that there are some that are free. Let me see the marketplace. That is never loading well.
So you can already use avatars which has already been uploaded in the library.
In the marketplace, yeah. And you
Okay.
don't need to change a lot of things as in MetaHumans. With MetaHumans, you need to change the skeleton and some nodes. But if you
Okay.
search here avatar, it will appear a lot of avatars that are already there. And these are, these are with the price, but there are some that are free, as you can see here, free. And I don't found anything that can actually be relevant or interesting to use. But you can find maybe not with avatar, maybe with, before there were avatars that were free. But right now we don't have any, at least in the library when I'm looking right now. So let me search, if not avatar. Mm, it needs to be avatar character. Let me see if there is one that is free. Yeah, there are some free characters. This adventurer character that looks very
Mhm.
fun. We have also this stylized character kit. These are all the free ones. Also this one that is, I don't know what it is, but it looks like a video game type of avatar. Also you have here, this is a cat. Okay, this is the army for a cat, and you can have it as avatar. And as you can see here, also when you download things to Unreal, always see here if it is support your version. Right now it is supporting because 5.0 is always include. This is it is rigged, it's animated, it has some animations, it has skins, textures. The one that we have is the mannequin one.
Yes.
It
Yes.
also has a mannequin's back because there is another mannequin that is more like strong. The one that we have is more stylized. But you can enter here and you can go forever because there is a lot of things, like a
Yes.
lot of pages for the characters. If you want this one, that is super big. But if you want this one, you can actually download and then you can just, when you download it, you will need to put it instead of this, you will need to drag your character, your new one.
Okay.
And you
And
can, yeah,
if we have two characters simultaneously placed, then how does it decide which character to use or something?
if you are two characters in this template, you can only use one character.
Okay. So it will
Unless,
automatically, we will have to delete the previous one. Just keep one
yeah, not delete it from the project, but just delete it. Let me enter to showcase to you.
from the outliner, right?
And not exactly from the outliner. In here, when I have my character itself, we have the viewport. And as you can see, this is the player. the capsule component, that is how the character is placed. And this is my character. In here, you can see that my skeletal mesh is this one. If I put that my skeletal mesh in here, you can actually change to the other mannequin that are already in the pack. This is the other mannequin, that is SK mannequin. I think it's with the same, yeah, it's with the same materials. So you need to just change it. I just change it, compile, and then let's close it and hit run. And now we have this character. But I
Okay.
don't know, yeah, this is what happens. Because this character is running with the previous character Rick, like the skeleton mesh. So now, as you can see, it is not moving their
Yes.
legs. It's not moving anything. It's just like going like a mannequin. That's why when you need to change it or when you want to change it, you need to go to the viewport and you need to change not only here, but you need to enter to change also in the, not the mode, in the mannequin itself. The skeleton mesh right now, the one that we have before was the one that was working, that is this one. That this one can work in this character. But in the case you want to change it, you need to change different settings from here.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the character actually, the simulation character. Now I think that hopefully my character is not this one because it's not running.
Oh shit.
So let me go again because there's, I mean, in the same package there is a lot of characters. So I think if it was not that one, it was Skimani probably. Okay, probably it's this one because it's waiting for the
Yeah.
skeletal meshes. No, this one is not also
This is
because this one is the other one. There is 5 in here. I think it was this one. I really think it was this one, but it's not running properly. So just don't change it for now.
yes.
Yeah, don't change it for now. I think it was this one. Yeah, it is too many avatars in here. But yeah, the thing is that when you change it, if you want to change it, we need to go through all of these in detail because all of these you need to change settings in each of these tabs. And then when you have it, actually, it can run. Let me see if this one's the one. And it's not because neither of these are actually having the skeleton mesh. I don't know why. Let me see. That's animation blueprint. I don't think I'm having the same one. It is already changing the materials. Mm-mm. Then let me go here. My character movement. Well, the thing is, no, I need to do it in CC. Here. Skeletal mesh component. But it needs to run, but it's not running. Mhm. Let me try with the custom mode. Because this is the one by default. No, it will not run because it will run like this. Very, very funny. Okay, yeah, I need to see why it's not running properly. But if you want to change it, you don't need to do all of this. You just need to change
Yes.
in here the character with the new one that you download. And
Okay.
it will come with the rig. Because right now I need to actually enter to the rig and to see, here is the rig, to see how the character moves. And if you download the other one, it will have, and you also can see the animations in here. I can move it. Let me see. And let me post process is running. Okay, I'm hit play, but it's nothing is happening. Okay, something I moved before because there is nothing happening right now. But this one can actually move, so I hope that this one runs. Let's see, compile. It's okay. Mm, no, it's still not running properly. I need to how do you call it, reprogram the whole character.
How do I go into that setting? This setting? This
Yeah, you
to
need
change.
to go to the content drawer, to the blueprints, to the VP third person, double click, and then you have the blueprint recording and sharing the screen. My avatar is still not running, and I'm sure I moved something. But okay,
Mm.
you need to enter to the blueprint in here, to the character. Then you have the blueprint, but the left one is the viewport. And in the viewport we have the character mesh. And in here I can put that I will use the animation blueprint, and let me see if that runs, hopefully, but it is
I
not
can't
running.
see the blueprint in my thing.
It's not appearing like this. Can you share?
Mm, yeah. Uh, the blueprint folder, right?
Oh yeah, go to third person in the main
Oh,
folders. Yeah,
this one.
there, double click,
Oh, okay.
then
Viewport.
go
Yeah.
to the viewport. Yeah, then that's the character.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. So that is, I mean, everything for now. Let me check why my character doesn't want to move anymore.
So sorry.
No, don't worry. I mean, I think I just hit something and I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's the anime. Let me share. I think I found it. Is here the anime class? It needs to see AVP menu or AVP.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yes.
this one. Yeah.
Oh,
Now it has this is the blueprint.
animation
So now
class.
I'm compiling it, and now what is my character? Now it can run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, why? It's so strange. Yeah, now it can run again. Yeah, so now if you want to change it, let's change it again. And this time I know what I need to change first. I change it in here, and you need to put the anim class in here, the Abimani, because this
Mm.
is how it's going to move. Now we compile, now you hit play, and now I have the other character and it's moving.
Yep. Got it.
Yeah, and even if you download something, you need to do the same. It needs to have the blueprint, because if it
Yes.
doesn't have the blueprint for running, it is going to be
Stand.
very difficult there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
and if you put the AVP money as blueprint for a new character, if the character is big, it's going to run very, very funny, as you see before when the character was running, but her legs, well, its legs was not moving, its arms wasn't moving, anything else was not moving. But yeah, this is the character itself. But you can download. I mean, it's interesting when you enter to see. There are a lot, and there are some that are very interesting ones to actually have them as characters, because this is for video games, so you can download a character from here, or you can have a metahuman. But the metahuman is another process. And yeah, you can just download a character if you want from here and test it.
Okay.
And yeah,
Okay.
that's the way of having it. At least now it runs again. It's there with the animation class.
Yes.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay, great. So this is
Thank
the
you.
class for today, and next week we will see the blueprints actually, and the basic of blueprints. And
Okay.
yeah, that's all.
Okay.
I,
Also, one more question.
yeah.
Will we learn how to animate in in this class? Like how to
How
animate?
to animate with the blueprints? How to move things?
Yeah, like in the animation, how to move things. For example, a structural building or something can move
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
place.
With the blueprints, we will learn how to move things. I
Okay.
will teach you like the basic things, how to move things, and then you can apply that to more complex project. Because
Okay.
as you saw before in here, uh, what I am showcasing is very basic, but you can apply it to every
Yeah.
complex geometry.
Yes.
Yeah, but the same is going to be like you can do elevators, you can move things, you can explode things, you can go close to an object and the object can move. As we have gravity and physics, everything can be enabled. But
And
yeah, it's it's what?
and and with Unreal Engine, like we do a gameplay, right? But can we also do a video, like make a animated
Yeah,
video? Right?
in the fourth class, I will teach you how to make a video. Unreal has a lot of cinematics. I mean, for everything that you see in Unreal, right now I'm just having my avatar running around,
Yes.
but I can actually have not the avatar, but just a camera panning like the object like this. So then you can actually have a nice panning of this area. Then you have a zoom in another area. Then you also have a camera that is going around following your character if you want to follow your character. Sometimes it's not good to follow the character because sometimes when we're running, it's not going the exact direction we want. But yeah, we can have cameras, we can have cinematics. That's the last class because first you need to learn how to do blueprints and need to
Yes, yes,
learn
yes.
what are you applying there. But yeah, we can do that. We're doing that the last class, the cinematics one.
Thank you. I have a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's okay. I think it's the best way to learn. I mean, when I was learning, I was asking a lot. So yeah, I just ask a lot. And
Thank you.
also, if you want something very specific, Unreal has the Epic Forum. That is actually what I learned a lot because in the Epic Forum, they have a lot of questions previously done by a lot of people, similar to Grasshopper that has a Grasshopper Forum. And you can see that other people do or other questions that people do. And yeah, that's the best way I think because Unreal is huge. And I think that what I'm showcasing is just like the surface, very the surface, because it has a lot of things that you can change. And everything can be, I mean, you can set everything since like the sky, since like all the lightings, all the movement, the animation, everything. So Unreal is like very complete package. And yeah,
I was learning about MindMaker plugin for Unreal. I mean, I was searching about it, but it was about machine learning and teaching machine learning in
yeah.
this.
hmm
Yeah, I was going through the tutorials to see if how to do it.
The one with the car,
The one where they balance a ball on a
balance
stick
of
or something like that to teach it to
yeah.
balance automatically.
Oh, I never did that tutorial. I saw the one with the car, that the car learns how to drive in the truck.
Oh, okay.
There is different ones, but it's good if you're applying that. I mean, you can. I know that Caesar is going to do some of that apply because it's the
Mhm.
advanced part. Because this
Yes,
is like the more beginner type of level
yes,
when
yes,
you are entering to Unreal. You're not
yes.
using machine learning the first time.
Yeah.
But but yeah, you can actually apply that inside.
If you have any tutorials like on YouTube or something, can you share the links?
Yeah,
It would
yeah,
be
sure.
helpful.
Yeah, depending on
Mhm.
what you want to learn specifically. I mean, if it's for the machine learning, I can send the one that is the car racing one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple one. I mean, it's probably simple for me now, but it's simple if you are watching the tutorial and rewatching it if you don't get
Yeah,
something.
I just need to get used to it before we go into much
Yeah,
detail like later so that I have
I,
a lot
I
of questions at least.
yeah, I think that even if you first need to get used to Unreal as an environment because it needs to learn if you already know how to pan, how to
Yeah.
organize your outline and everything. That's the first thing. If you know that, then you can continue working with the next steps. The next one is going to be blueprints. So blueprints is interesting because it's animation, how this will move up or will move down, or it will have a collision box. And it's an interesting thing to do. So that's going to be the next class. And apart from that, yeah, I can send you the machine learning one that I saw that is one with the car.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. So let me stop sharing. Okay, guys, thank you for staying until this moment with all the questions. It's good if you have questions. I think it's the best way of learning. And if you have specific questions for your projects because you need to apply Unreal in your project, just send it to the Slack and I will read it there. Yeah. I will upload the recordings as soon as I put everything together because I have, I think, 3 little recordings. And yeah, with that, that's all for today. And see you at Bartlett on Saturday. Probably it's going to be at 3 p.m. instead of 4, so I can actually finish on Saturday. And yeah, let's see you then Saturday. Thank you guys. Bye.